We're 18 stages through in the 2013 Tour de France, and the character of this race is now pretty well defined, and the character of this race is that it sucks. All the riders suck. Nobody can hang with Chris Froome. Nobody's got the legs. So we got former champion and one of the best climbers of the past few years, Alberto Contador. I love the guy. He attacks every chance he gets. Stage 18, where they had to climb L'Alpe d'Huez twice, Contador attacked on the descent. In previous stages, he's attacked on some climbs. He's given it his best, but he doesn't have the legs to succeed, and he hasn't been able to cut into Chris Froome's lead. In fact, Contador has lost time. Former champion Andy Schleck's been nowhere to be seen. He's been a total non-factor. On stage 18, climbing L'Alpe d'Huez twice, he showed a brief moment of strength during the early climbs and after the first climb, but by the second and final climb of L'Alpe d'Huez, he had nothing left, non-factor. Cadel Evans, you don't hear a peep, you don't see anything of him. He barely makes any camera time. Complete non-factor for that former champion. You got some nice isolated performances, Rui Costa and some of the Colombian riders, but they're not adding to anything as GC threats. So Chris Froome's got a solid 5-minute plus lead with 3 stages left to go. I don't think anything's going to change in the top GC spots, or at least not in Chris Froome's position in the next 3 stages. There aren't enough difficult mountaintop finishes or climbs that could affect him. The only thing that could knock Chris Froome out at this point is a disaster. Team Sky wasn't very strong in the early part of the race, but they rallied. Richie Porte, who got killed in some early climb, was actually one of the strongest riders assisting Chris Froome here in stage 18 up L'Alpe d'Huez. So Team Sky's rallied. Chris Froome got his big enough lead, and he's strong. He may not be the best climber in this year's tour, but he's good enough. He won the individual time trial in stage 17. So he's got a very solid grip on first and should coast into Paris for the yellow jersey in the 100th edition of the race. The sprinting is still interesting. Cavendish, Greipel, and Sagan each have a stage victory. Marcel Kittel stole the glory 3 times, but it's going to be fun to see who's going to take it down in Paris Sunday. First nighttime finish ever for the Tour de France. You got to be really into this race to even know or care about the sprint finishes, but once you are into it, it's thrilling. It's a great, the sprint finishes are awesome. And without any drama in the mountains lately, that's pretty much all there is in this year's Tour de France. Tejay van Garderen had nothing early in the Tour de France, but he got into the breakaway and then was the contender and the leader through almost the entire stage 18. Finally, the Frenchman caught him with just 1 or 2 kilometers to go from the finish and stole the glory from Tejay van Garderen, who was in a really good position to win this very iconic stage at the Tour de France. First time ever that they climbed that mountain twice. But he couldn't get it done, so there won't be much for America to brag about in this year's Tour de France. And, you know, there's always the cloud hanging over it that any of these results could change, because if someone gets caught doping, they're gone. And the whole race is weird. There was a good Wall Street Journal op-ed on this. Like, you can't even mention the past. They just wiped out all those years that Lance Armstrong won. It's like they didn't even exist. So we're talking about the 100th edition of the Tour de France, but no one likes to talk about the history of the race, because the recent history, past 10, 15 years, is just so bleak. So it's still fun. The scenery is great. The TV guys do a fantastic job of showing the racers and the landscape and the towns and the villages and the mountains and the streams and the rivers. France is just beautiful. I'm veering away from sports, but I love the Tour de France, even though the whole race is kind of BS at this point. It's a spectacle. You don't know what you're really watching, whether the results mean anything until days, weeks, months, or even years, maybe even a decade later. So the whole thing is bizarre, but my Cavendish video got a ton of views, probably because we deceived you. We apologize for that, but you come here to hear commentary. It's TYTSports, so I'm talking about the Tour de France, and I'm keeping it real. So come back for more commentary. I'll probably have another video to wrap up the race after Sunday. Definitely, look, if you got tens of thousands, if you're on Twitter, follow me, @DaveKoehler. Just do it. And that wraps up Stage 18 update on the Tour de France 2013. Subscribe to TYT Sports and stay tuned for more coming up later.